Hey guys, it's Luke Yon, and today I am going to be doing two Thanksgiving book tags. The reason I'm doing this is because I really wanted to film, but I couldn't think of any videos that I really wanted to do because I want to at least post one regular video in between all my wrap-ups, so I couldn't film my October wrap-up, and it's pretty close to Thanksgiving, so I thought that I would just do these tags. I originally saw these tags done on Cindy from Read with Cindy's channel. She and Chanel did a video where they were cooking and doing these two book tags. And I thought that they were really interesting questions, so I kind of have looked at the questions a little bit. But I don't know exactly what my answers for each one are gonna be. But let's just get into the video. And I don't obviously have all the books with me, so I'm probably just gonna put up pictures here or somewhere on the screen. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to do is the Thanksgiving book tag, and question number one is bread. What book is purely fluff and has no real plot line? Okay, so the book that comes to mind for me, I also have a picture of my bookshelves upstairs so that I can look at all the books to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But I think that the book that comes to mind is Sweet Scarlet by Maureen Johnson. This is a YA contemporary book that follows a girl named Scarlet who lives in this hotel with her family. They run the hotel, and there's not much of a plot. I remember they're doing a play, and there's some stuff that's happening, but it's not a total completely shocking plot. Not a ton happens in the book, so I guess that would be my answer. But also, A Court of Frost and Starlight is another one that doesn't really have that much of a plot. Nothing, again, really happens in it. Okay, question number two is Turkey. What book made you want to fall asleep? Okay, so I feel like one of the more boring books that I've read in recent memory was probably Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This book just really had nothing going for it. Nothing really happened in the book. There were things, there were things happening, but none of the stuff actually had a reason to it. I didn't feel like there was any point. And so I don't know. I feel like that one is probably one that made me want to fall asleep. Also, I feel like maybe A Court of Silver Flames at times made me want to fall asleep, just because, again, not a ton was really happening in the book. Question number three is Gravy. What book makes the whole series worth reading? I feel like for this one I probably have to say The Midnight Star by Marie Lu, because I really like the Young Elite series as a whole, but I feel like this book really made the whole series everything came full circle. I really, really loved it. This series basically follows a group of, kids who basically ended up having this disease or whatever, and those who survived ended up with these weird side effects, and they ended up with powers, and I feel like The Midnight Star was definitely my favorite book in the series. It is one of my favorite books that I read last year, and honestly one of my favorite books of all time. I just thought it was so good, the way that everything wrapped up, and the storyline in this book was really the strongest one in the series, and I did really like the first book, and I really, really enjoyed the second one, but I feel like this one just made the series, it brought it to kind of a new level. I also might say The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. That's a duology, but I really liked the first book, The Wrath and the Dawn, but I still gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, but The Rose and the Dagger was 5 out of 5 stars. I loved that book, and I just thought it made the entire series, so worth it. So I feel like you kind of have to get through the slightly more boring first book to get to the really, really good sequel and finale. Okay, next we have Stuffing. What book is stuffed full of action scenes? For this one, I think I have to go with Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This book just had so much happening in it. There was so much happening. Every single chapter there was a new fight scene or a new confrontation scene, and I remember when I read this book, I was in kind of a negative headspace. I just wasn't really feeling my best, and I read it and I could not stop reading. It was just so fast to get through. The chapters were really short and just really easy to get through. So I think that has to be my answer for that. It was just really action-packed, I guess is the best adjective that I can use to describe it. But there was just so much happening in that book. I feel like if I were trying to do a plot summary, it would take a million years just because there were so many different, like, plot pieces, and as soon as one intense action scene would end, another crazy thing would happen and it would lead into another sequence. So I feel like that is probably the best answer that I could think of for this. Okay, next we have mashed potatoes. What book looked good and then wasn't? I feel like for this I have to go with The Ex-Hex by Rachel Hawkins. I forget what her pen name is for this book, but I remember this book looked so cute. I loved the cover, the plot sounded so interesting, and then the book was so boring. Like, there was just really nothing to it. Like, I feel like the characters fell really flat, and the plot was really slow and, like, boring, and I don't know. I kind of had to force myself to read this one, but the cover is so cute. I read it for, like, Halloween, and it was kind of a big letdown. Question number 6 is Cranberries. What book has the sweetest romance? I feel like this one is hard because a lot of, like, my favorite romances in books are not, like, sweet per se, like Severin and Layla from The Gilded Wolves, or like Laia and Elias from An Ember in the Ashes, but I'm trying to think. Even, like, Adrian and Nova from Renegades are not, like, a sweet romance. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, even, like, Warner and Juliet are not sweet. Like, I don't know. It's really hard to think of. I mean, Etta and Nicholas from the Passenger series was really cute as well. Nannerl and her love interest from The Kingdom of Back were cute, but they weren't really, like, in it that much, so I feel like that's not the best answer. I mean, the romance in The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was pretty sweet, just because they were kind of going through, like, similar things, and I felt like that was a good romance. Oh, I mean, the romance in Strange the Dreamer, Laszlo and Sarai, is pretty cute, but again, not, like, super sweet, which is, like, the difficult part. I mean, even The On Honeymooners, which is a romance book, like my favorite romance book, it's not, like, a sweet romance by definition. So, I don't know. I don't really know what to say for that one, but yeah, let me just move on, I guess. Oh, wait, actually, there's some romances in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but I don't know, like, which ones I would even think of that are, like, sweet. I mean, like, Tessa and Will, by, like, The Last Hours, they have a really sweet relationship. I don't know. There are a lot of answers, I guess, that I could give. But question number 7 is Corn. What is the corniest book you have ever read? I feel like that's actually, like, kind of hard because I don't know if I read, like, corny books. Like, I've definitely read some corny romance books. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, 13 Little Blue Envelopes was a little bit corny, I think. Oh, maybe, like, My Lady Jane, like the Lady Jane series. That series is pretty corny, but it's, like, intentional. So I feel like that could be a good one to recommend. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that one because I'm looking at my bookshelves and I can't really think of, like, a corny book. Maybe Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins is one. Again, but Better by Christine Riccio. I feel like those are good ones. Okay, 8 is Green Beans. Green Beans. Hello. Okay, what book is too long and needs to be shortened? Oh, I just read, like, in August, the Devabad series by S.A. Chakraborty, and that series was really, really long. Like, each book was really long, and I feel like it did not need to be that length. Like, I feel like they each could have been 200 pages shorter. Same with House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. That one was really, really long. Sarah J. Maas is interesting because, like, Kingdom of Ash, I feel like that was the perfect length, even though that was, like, 1,000 pages long. But House of Sky and Breath and A Court of Silver Flames were way too long. Even House of Earth and Blood was pretty long. Okay, number 9, Pumpkin Pie. What book do you read to get out of a reading slump? Well, I'm actually in a little bit of a reading slump right now, and I picked up the Shatter Me series by Chahat Mafi, like, as a reread, so I guess I have to say that one, because it's just a really good one. Like, the books are pretty short, and I know them so well, so I just like reading those a lot. Also probably a Cassandra Clare book I'll pick up. Okay, and then the last question is dog or cat? What's your favorite Thanksgiving food that you would steal from the table, like a dog or a cat? Okay, my favorite Thanksgiving food that I would steal. Maybe, like, stuffing. I don't know. Stuffing is probably my favorite food, like, on the Thanksgiving table, if we're not talking about, like, appetizers, like risotto bites or whatever, or, like, a charcuterie board or something. I'm trying to think, like, what I will be aiming for on Thursday. But probably the stuffing. That's, like, my favorite part. Because it just, like, makes everything so good. I don't really like mashed potatoes. I don't really love turkey or anything, so I feel like stuffing is the whole, like, the most amazing part of Thanksgiving, obviously. Okay, so let's move on to the next tag, which is the Giving Thanks book tag. And question number 1 is, name a book that made you thankful you live in your world and not the book's world. I feel like I can really go for any dystopian book right now, like the Scythe series. That book series freaks me out to no end. I, like, could not even fathom living in that world. Like, yeah, it's cool that you get to live forever or whatever, but I would be so scared that I would just be murdered, like, any day of the week. And I feel like it's better to be, like, because you can still be, like, a 30-year-old person and get killed by a scythe, but I feel like it's really rare to just die as a 30-year-old person. Like, yeah, you could get hit by a bus, or you could, like, develop a really tragic disease, but it's, I don't know. I feel like it's different, and I feel like that one would really, really scare me. I think the Shatter Me series is really scary also, like, any dystopian. The Diviners is really creepy also. I'm trying to think. There's a lot. There are a lot. Gilded is a really freaky world that I would never want to live in a million years. I'm trying to think of some that would be, like, the opposite, like, books that I would like to be in. I feel like maybe This Woven Kingdom is a good one. Like, I love that world. Warcross, The Gilded Wolves, Realmbreaker, The Starless Sea. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch that I would like to live in, but probably the one that scared me the most is Scythe. I feel like that one would be really, really creepy. Question number 2 is give thanks to a book that changed your perspective. I feel like for that one I probably have to go with, like, either A Very Large Expanse of Sea or An Emotion of Great Delight. I feel like I'm giving every single Todd Amalfi book in this video, but those books, I don't know if they, like, changed my perspective, because obviously, like, I knew not to be xenophobic or, like, racist or whatever, but I feel like being able to read a book from the perspective of 2 girls who wear hijab and who were, like, bullied and persecuted, and to read not only a perspective from those characters, but obviously have it be an own voice's perspective because of Taha Mafi, because she also wears hijab and has obviously faced a lot of racism and xenophobia and Islamophobia and all of that. So I think that book really did open my eyes, especially A Very Large Expanse of Sea, just because I read it when I was really young and I hadn't really thought about that stuff a ton. And Emotion of Great Delight kind of came after that book. So yeah, I feel like those two are definitely ones that, I don't want to say opened my eyes or changed my perspective, but made me more aware. Okay, question number 3 is, what character would you be thankful for if they were your significant other? That's interesting because I feel like all of the characters in books are, like, really messed up in some way. But maybe, like, maybe Layla from The Gilded Wolves, just because she, like, always cares about her friends, and she does have a really, really good heart. So maybe her. I'm trying to think. Maybe Stevie Bell, I guess, but I feel like I'd get way into the murders that she's solving, and I'd probably never sleep. And she also puts herself in danger way too much, so I feel like that would not be the best idea. Yeah, I feel like those are good. Those are enough, yeah. Question number 4 is, what character would you say thanks but no thanks to? I mean, any, like, villains, I guess. Like, I don't know why she just popped in my head, but the, Enchantress from A Curse of Dark and Lonely, Lilith, she's so annoying, and I would definitely say thanks but no thanks to. Same with the Lilith from the Shadowhunter Chronicles. I'm trying to think, like, who else is really, really bad, like a really bad person. Any of the queens from Three Dark Crowns, even though they're, like Mirabella and Arsinoe are, like, kind of okay, I just would not want to be involved in that, like, at all. Oh, like, even Selena, I feel like she's just way too intense for me, and Feyre also was, like, really annoying. Bryce is also really intense. Oh, well, okay, this kind of answers the last question, but Alize from This Woman Kingdom, I feel like, is a good one. She would be, like, a good significant other. I definitely say thanks or no thanks to Adelina, just because girl's crazy. Yeah, I feel like those are pretty good. Name a book that made you laugh out loud, just like your drunk Uncle Earl at Thanksgiving. I don't really laugh or cry a ton at books. But I feel like a book that made me laugh, I mean, the Shatter Me books kind of make me laugh at points. The Shadowhunter Chronicle books also make me laugh. Some Leigh Bardugo books. I'm trying to think, like, if there was one that was really funny. The Unhoneymooners was a good one. Like, a good, funny one. Oh, I feel like a book that I laughed at just because of how utterly ridiculous it was probably Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, just because that book was, like, really out there sometimes. Like, sometimes things would happen and I would just be like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand. It was really... Actually, that could possibly be the corniest book I've ever read. If we're going back to that other question, I feel like that could definitely be an answer to that. Number 6 is name a book that made you incredibly angry, just like your drunk Uncle Earl at Thanksgiving. A book that made me angry, maybe like Defy Me by Tahina Mafi, just because that book has so much potential to go to so many interesting places and it just dropped the ball on all of them. I feel like The Night Country by Melissa Albert made me angry just because, again, had so much potential. It could have been really, really good and it just was not. Once Upon a Broken Heart made me a little bit angry too. But yeah, I feel like the book that made me angriest was Defy Me, just because it felt like it had not been thought out. And I love Tahina Mafi and I don't want to talk badly about her, but I feel like that one just was like, I didn't understand the purpose of it, I didn't understand, like, it at all. Like, period. Finally, name one thing you are thankful for about BookTube. I feel like the thing that I'm most thankful for is how much it helped me kind of overcome some shyness. I used to be really, really shy and anxious, and I still am, but I feel like being able to talk and just voice my opinions and knowing that it was okay, that I could just talk and for endless hours, and it was fine, I feel like definitely helped me because I realized that there's no difference between someone that is just looking through a computer screen and someone who is actually looking at me, and I feel like I became a lot less, I got a lot less stage fright, or whatever you want to call it. I got a lot less shy, anxious, nervous, what have you. And yeah, I feel like I just became a little bit more well-rounded. I don't know, I feel like I've been doing BookTube for so long that it has actually helped me in a lot of ways. I think it has made me grow as a person, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, I think it's made me a better person, and I think it has just helped me a lot in ways that I probably never could have expected, and I'm really grateful for it just in general. So yeah, ending this video on a little bit of a sappy note, but yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all those who watch, and I mean, it is Thanksgiving, so I'm giving thanks to all those who watch and just BookTube in general. I want to thank, like, my younger me for actually having the courage to start the channel, because I don't know if I had waited if I would have done it. So I feel like that's something. And yeah, I'm just really happy that I actually have had this YouTube channel and have been able to be part of the BookTube community in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna end this on a little bit of a sweet note. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys all have a really great Thanksgiving if you are celebrating. I hope you get to see some family and just have a lot of fun and eat. That is it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. All my social media links are in the description box below, and I will see you in my next video, which will be my October wrap-up. Bye!